Hey everyone, this is Jamie. So I'm back today to talk about something I discussed previously a bit, but today I'll be focusing specifically on the media aspect of when it comes to representation, the current state of roles between the top and the bottom when it comes to the gay male community. Trans, cis, men, anyway, the community. So, if you're new, I pretty much do talks. They don't have any pauses or cuts, so you get to hear everything unfiltered. Think of this as whatever you want to think of. Because of COVID, I stopped doing talks. So basically, I do talks on YouTube. People enjoy it, I think, so I keep doing it. So, without further introduction, I'll go into today's topic of oversaturated representation. So I wanted to talk about the fact that I was on Reddit yesterday, or was it today? Anyway, and people were talking how they were annoyed at the current state of the community, how we are supposed to like, we gay men are supposed to like certain things, and not everyone likes such things. And among the list were like pop divas, drag queens, and etc. And then I commented saying that I actually do not enjoy the fact that tops and bottoms are getting very strict. So, in case I guess you know, I'm poly. I've been poly for ages, and I'm in an open relationship. So basically, I do know the way of grinder. And the more I see through the years, the more I see that sex becomes sort of like it has a structure, and no one dares to break the structure. So I'm sorry if this is a bit not safe for work, but basically, you know that the bottom is gonna like perform oral. The top, for some reason, like I'm not into rimming, so we'll do rimming. It won't touch your dick or won't go down on you, but will like eat your ass. And I was like, okay. Well, in the beginning when it just started being more mainstream, I was like, well, okay, whatever. But now I see that it's becoming more frequent where a person, well, a guy won't go down on you. For instance, if you're acting the role of the bottom for the night, and you're expected to suck his dick to give him more foul-oriented pleasure and etc. Well, he's just pretty much will do anything to your hole. So, and I wish it ended at that at least, but it doesn't end there because then the more you start exploring, the more you see that tops are more masculine, tops work out more, bottoms have their own sort of workouts to get like their butt plumping, etc. So, and bottoms are supposed to be more feminine and etc. So it kind of gets on my nerves. And I was talking to my own partner, and he said that it pretty much feels like they're becoming caricatures, and that as if people don't have a personality anymore and they cling onto top or bottom specifically to kind of eliminate the void of their lack of personality. So that was an interesting observation for someone who isn't as active as I am in the gay community. So yeah. So I started like thinking around, I started digging through articles, through my own head, for everything I could remember. And I do feel like right now we have a bit too much of oversaturated representation when it comes to the gay community. So I do not agree with people who say that, oh, gay men get all the representation, because we have a variety of representation these days. This isn't like early zeros where we had to grasp at straws, or we literally had like top 10 movies and they would be the same. We'd have straight actors doing gay roles. We'd have a few movies from the 80s, a few movies from the 90s. Everyone could recite when the first gay kiss was, which was in a movie called Wings at the time. And it was black and white. I won't remember the year right now, but I could before. And so did everyone. or there was also a German lesbian movie, and there were a few trans movies, and there wasn't even a debate if cis people should play trans people because there was no other option. Like, trans movies in general weren't there. So yeah. So I feel like right now, when we're getting more representation, we should be actually getting more representation instead of getting our stereotypes scanned and distributed to us. So I feel like what once when people would talk like, hey, who's the woman in this gay relationship, as asking who's the bottom, or is the same as asking a lesbian couple, like who's the top and the bottom in the lesbian relationship, who's the butch, who's the femme. So when I come, I'll just speak about the gay man experience. So basically, I feel like people just tend to can it and they sell it to us in such a way. So right now we have a lot of different representation. We have a lot of movies to choose from, and people choose like uh, I remember, well, the current bigger movies or like movies which made a bigger impact, for instance. Like, I still don't understand how Love Simon was more popular than Moonlight, for instance. And even if we're talking about such things as Love Simon or Moonlight, um, there were things and movies which came before that which were far more representative. Like, for instance, my favorite gay movies of all time are probably Velvet Goldmine and Weekends, which both had, well, Velvet Goldmine is more of a bisexual gay movie, but it was still really good, and it was very poorly received back at the time in the box office. And right now it's a cult. It's a cult favorite, but no one really talks about it. And it has an amazing cast of like Christian Bale, has Ewan McGregor, it has Jonathan Rhys-Meyers, and probably his best role. And there's also like Weekends, which I remember when it came out at the time. I was volunteering in the UK, and I remember I missed it at the time. But the LGBT center, which I volunteered for, was even showing it to people, and they were showing it even a few times for a few weeks so that everyone could see it. Because it was such a big deal to have a gay movie to go so mainstream and so popular. And yeah, and people just sleep on it these days. And even if just talking about Weekend, I feel like it just captures more of the gay community more than any movie actually does. So yeah. But if I start talking about Weekend, I'll just end up doing the whole video about Weekend. So just watch the movie, trust me. So I wanted to talk. So we have, like, for instance, I couldn't even finish Love Simon. I remember I was reading the plot and I was like, he gets upset at his mom, and I was like, which world do we live in? So I'm not against like pretending that we live in a perfect world, and I am very thankful that right now everything is a bit more respectable towards us. People have more respect to us, but at the same time, when it comes to trans issues, when it comes to gay issues, um, there still is a lot of disagreements. The world is very polarized on these things. So before, people would just be homophobes and dots, well, now they're, I think, more aggressively homophobic, and they're more keen to expressly talk about it and act on it. So we've got more anti-LGBT stuff happening in laws and politics. So politics are literally right now whether you are pro-LGBT, whether you're against LGBT stuff. So yeah, and but going back to the original topic, like stuff like Love Simon, which if I remember correctly, it was written by a woman. So, at least I think. And people really identify with it. And I remember when it came out, everyone would go on Reddit and be like, "Oh, this is the first movie ever," or like, "Oh my God, this is so good," or like, and it didn't feel like it was, in my opinion, um, from the bits I saw, from the bits I've read about, it didn't feel genuine, and it felt very alienating to me. But I do understand that it's good to have different variety, but at the same time, for instance, there was this show which was very popular a while ago, which was called Scam, which was made in Norway, and it was also made by a woman. So this kind of also tends to get on my nerves because it goes back to the topic of, for instance, like yaoi, which is made by women for women and which has very, very toxic tropes. So we do have, for instance, an anime better representation now, and I feel like anime is moving forwards while movies and TV series are moving kind of backwards in terms of that. So in yaoi, for instance, before we'd have a lot of sort of height differences. The the bottom would be more feminine, the top would be more masculine. They'd have elements of rape and etc. of others, kind of very troublesome and problematic, I'd say, tropes which were glorified by women. And I remember I even read a study where they were asking different women and a gay man in Japan about their opinions on yaoi, and he said that and the man said that he didn't like it because it portrayed gay men negatively, and then the woman said, "Well, it's not for you," and it's like, well, you're literally exploiting gay men for your own sake. So, yeah. So when it comes to such things, I do feel like the fetishization of gay men isn't talked about enough. And right now, when we have such things like Scam, and I remember there's this scene where the character who then understands that he's gay, he keeps saying like, "Oh, I'm not like other gay guys. I'm not feminine, and etc." And so we're going where we back to where we ping pong with this mask versus femme thing in the community, which already caused a lot of friction. I mean, you already just open Grindr and you see mask for mask or looking for femme, and it's it's already dividing our community. So people attack that the mask people are too toxic. The mask people feel very, please, everything isn't like this. And then the mask people defend themselves saying that they don't want to be part of the community, like because they don't like, I don't know, Drag Race, they don't like the pop divas. And in general, these days, I don't understand the obsession with like the current pop divas. Because back in the day, I remember, well, I can't remember because I'm not that old. Yes, I know I'm not that old, okay? So we had back in the day there was like Judy Garland who had plenty gay husbands who she would marry to be a beard for, and she did a lot for representation. Or like I was also talking to my partner again, and like Princess Diana as well. Like she talked about HIV and AIDS when people weren't talking about it in the U.S. And those are people who actually spoke about the community instead of like. Um, I don't know, Katy Perry fetishizing at the time, but I think she recently came out about her experiences, but at that time it was very insensitive. So yeah, or like we have like Beyonce. I don't even know what Beyonce did for the gay community, to be honest. Or like Christina Aguilera did. I remember seeing her video for Beautiful, which had a gay man kissing, and I remember at the time it was highly talked about. And it was a thing which needed to be said that, you know, you can't just sit on the bus and make out with someone because you're going to get stares from all over. And sometimes you still feel uncomfortable to do PDA in public. So, yeah. So, when it comes to such pop divas, it's like, what do they do? Do they speak out about things that other people don't? Not really. Like right now, when you look at the pop divas, they're all like, "Oh yeah, I support President Biden, who is allowing this enormous circus to happen and literally destroy trans rights right now. And he's not doing anything. It's like, what's he doing? Oh, sorry, he signed. No, he didn't sign. He talked to some like YouTubers and said yes, trans rights are should be talked about. And everything that people were scared of to happen during Donald Trump is happening right now. And I do understand that I may not have the best grasp of US politics, but it's still really fucked up. And then also, since I mentioned the UK, let's look at the UK. So we have the Tories, and we had It's a Sin, which was directed by Russell T Davies, and I enjoyed him in Doctor Who. Dot. That's it. That's the only good thing he ever did and has ever done. Although Torchwood was good as well, but it wasn't my cup of tea. But I understand Torchwood was good though. So yeah, and he made Banana, Cucumber, and some other few gay series, and now he did It's a Sin, which was about AIDS in the UK, and I couldn't get myself to watch it. I was like, oh my god, this is rubbish. And it had, for instance, like a gay Tory. It's like, seriously? We're gonna talk about the rights of gay Tories. Who needs gay Tories to be represented when there's a massive turf problem, when there's a massive, massive problem in the UK, specifically when it comes to trans men not getting access to healthcare, or trans children not getting access to healthcare. Like, I recently found out, which still shocks me to no end, the fact that you cannot get bottom surgery in the UK if you identify as a trans man. Like, you literally cannot get it. Thanks, Kira Bell. I really, really hope you burn with your turf friends. So I do not live in the UK, but I do. I did volunteer at the time. I was studying there at the time, and thankfully I left before this whole mess even got worse. So yeah, so it's very concerning. And even when we talk about creators like Todd Haynes, who did Velvet Goldmine, or Andrew High, who did Weekend, they prefer to do other things than just be known as gay directors, which I guess I understand, but at the same time, it gives way to other people to tell our stories, and to because in their cis hetero heads, they think, oh, okay, someone's a woman, someone's a man, someone's a top, someone's a bottom, and because we get exposed to such things, it reflects onto us, because the media we consume still manages to build us and enforce the stereotypes we should be running away from. So it's pretty much, we have an enormous amount of trash representation. That's what I'm trying to say. Right. I also wanted to talk about a bit about drag, because it was also addressed in the comments which I was talking about. And it is really mainstream, up to the point that drag queens, I feel like, for instance, I'm really trying to watch Drag Race Spain, and I really enjoy it, but it's just that there's literally so many drag shows going on at the same time that it's just impossible to keep watching. It's like, I can't just watch like 3 different things based on drag at the same time. I know we have COVID and all, but I don't have that much time. And I really want to watch the Drag Race in Spain, because literally, like, I live in Portugal. It's literally like next door, and I'm really interested in it. And speaking of creators, for instance, there's Pedro Almodovar, which does amazing gay movies, and he has for ages and ages and ages. And his representation has always been much better than, I don't know, some shit like Love, Simon. I'm sorry. And he also had a lot of trans characters throughout his work, which opens the door to conversation, etc. And when it comes to drag, it also, going back to a point about the pop divas, that there is this sort of idealization of a woman when it comes to gay circles or like pop divas. So drag as well. So for instance, I do understand like when people talk like Cher did a lot for LGBT rights, and Judy Garland and Princess Diana, like I mentioned. But for instance, Cher has a, a son who's trans, and at the same time, no one talks about it these days. And or like people just see her as a quirky woman instead of understand that she's an actual icon. She is a parent of a trans man, and yeah, and she really openly spoke about her struggles with when he first came out as a lesbian, and then he came out as a straight trans man, and she needed time to process that, and she was open about it, and that's great. I mean, what else does Beyonce? I don't know. To me, Beyonce is just despicable. I'm sorry, because I do not understand her narrative of like, oh, woe me, I'm so rich, and my husband cheated on me, and I'll stay with my husband. I forgave him. Everything's peachy. I don't get it. Sorry, cheating is never okay. So, and I think I pretty much got all my notes. So I hope I gave you enough food for thought. And to summarize the bottom and top thing, I do feel like we're becoming caricatures of ourselves. And we do hold women on a massive pedestal instead of holding men on a pedestal. And when it comes to drag queens, it's still, they still go by she pronouns, obviously. Well, they're in drag. There are female characters, and I do understand that we have drag kings, we have more fluid drag, but at the same time, it shouldn't be a sort of like femme thing. I just wish drag was a bit more interesting, I guess, because I feel like right now it's getting to the point where it's oversaturated as well as the representation. But at the same time, we've got new shows coming up. There's this new show, I think it's called Call Me Mother with Peppermint, who is an amazing, amazing drag queen, and she's an amazing woman as well. And I'll be watching it. I'll be very interested in it, as well as she had a sort of like, not a talk show, but more like she um, sat with other famous RuPaul Drag Race drag queens who are women, well, trans women, and they talked about many different issues. And right now they're competing on All Star 6, which I think is airing already. I'm not sure. I'm not even keeping up with these days. So yeah, and I really wish the Mask Femme thing would just end, because, I mean, if you feel comfortable saying that something is femme about you, sure, feel free. But for instance, when people refer to me as something femme, or like, oh, you wear makeup, you're so femme, or etc., it doesn't make me feel comfortable. Like, I'm a guy, I just happen to like makeup. That's it. I still have my beard. I will still have sex with gay men, which is pretty much the main definition, or like enjoying sex with men, which was a wonderful Reddit post, which was like, what's the most stereotypical thing you do as a gay man? And it was like having sex with other men. So yeah, I really relate to that. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope I made sense. I hope you will enjoy this video to the end. And if you liked it, please click on the like button, please subscribe, and have a nice week. Oh, and also, James Charles deserves to be in jail again and again and again, and I'll keep repeating it. Thank you.